Hello and welcome on the Daily Driven Classics channel. In today's episode, we'll get around to change the engine mounts because the old ones are literally fully collapsed. We'll also change the hydraulic fluid for the second time and replace the reservoir. We'll change some cheap gaskets from the oil dipstick and some new wiper blades because the old ones are non-existent. We'll also replace the downpipe itself because on the old one, the flex pipe right here just completely burst open and lets exhaust gases escape right after the turbo. That's why in the intro shots from all the prior episodes, the car smokes like I don't know what, because it's completely crazy. And yeah, we'll also do that in today's episode. And after that, we're finally ready for a first drive, because the car was just so obnoxiously loud and stinking everywhere that I didn't want to embarrass my neighbors or annoy my neighbors with all the shit that I was spewing around. So yeah. We'll also need to retake out the air filter housing because we're gonna change all the motor mounts. But I'm a bit retarded and I put the car up on ramps and there's this like thing on top, and now I can't open the hood all the way, so I had to support it with this wooden thing, and now I hope it doesn't crash onto my head and I die. So let's start with the intake side. The nut is right there and I'm going to go right down with my impact. This nut came off extremely easy, and I hope this is the same on the other side. I'm sorry if the angle on this side is a bit worse, but the nut for the engine mount is just shoved all the way down and I have difficulties getting to it. The thing with the impact actually worked surprisingly well. The nut came off instantly, even with the swivel socket. Now onto the two bottom nuts on both sides. Just like the top ones, I'm gonna zap them loose with my impact and then we're good. I don't actually know how well it is picking up on camera, but legit, the engine is pretty much touching the engine support in certain places. That thing is way too close. And it's actually dangerous because if the engine rocks back and forth too much, you can crack the oil pan and then yeah, your engine's pretty much toast. My jack won't go high enough, so I will have to use a random piece of birch I still had lying around and just chuck that in between and then hope the engine doesn't fall onto my head. The block of birch I showed, it just slipped off and then the engine fell back onto its mounting place, and it pretty much slipped off because both mounts are completely done and detached, and I think the gearbox mounts are also quite on their way out, so the engine pretty much just fell off the carrier and that would not have been great. And because I didn't want to risk it again, I just asked a friend to come over with the professional engine lifting hoist or whatever that is called. It is quite heavy, and yeah, I'm just gonna mount that and then use that as a way to get the engine in the air. The way you mount these engine hoist arms is you fix it at the correct height where there is the engine hook. On the M51 engine it's right there, and then you adjust it on both sides and you take off this rubber trim and just lay it in this middle thingy right here. Then I had to fix the swivel function, and now I can turn the lever right there and then I can bring the engine up. I'm just gonna take this out. That's not how an engine mount is supposed to come out. Now I'm gonna let you guys watch and guide me while lowering the engine. I believe it was in episode 3 where I said that we desperately need to change the engine mounts because they're completely gone. Yeah, Usually people compare the height of the old versus the new, but in my case that is no longer possible since it has completely disintegrated. This is the thread that mounts into the engine holder and the engine block, and this is the bottom part that connects to the chassis. Well, it suffice to say that this was no longer being a function. Now we just need to torque down the new engine mounts. I didn't find any torque specs for the new engine mounts from BMW, so I decided to just go with the standard M10 bolt torque spec, which is 37 Newton meters, I believe. Now we're gonna drain the power steering fluid for the second time, because even though I didn't really drive, just steering around before my garage, I think the fluid has been cycled through the pump and through the lines, so we're safe to proceed with the draining, and then we're also gonna change the fluid reservoir. It's already a lot cleaner than last time. I am also gonna loosen the 22mm feed line to the hydraulic pump so that we can clean it when it's out, because that one is very sludgy. Now I'm gonna remove the hydraulic reservoir itself. There are just 3 10mm, and you can also just remove this one and take it all out. Since I'm also taking out the hydraulic pump feed line, I'm just gonna remove all the bracketry and just do it on my bench. See this old sludgy mess? Ready, set, go! New reservoir, new crush washers, cleaned bolts, clean bracket, everything is either new or is cleaned. Cleaned banjo bolt with new crush washers. That's tight. Now I'm going to reinstall the bracketry, everything from up top, give it a nice wipe down while it's free. And now the reservoir bolt. So I just tried getting the bolt back in, unfortunately it won't work. The diameter is slightly off and now the clip won't close all the way, and now I can't get the bolt in because there's 1mm missing. Yeah, I'll have to do a run to the hardware store tomorrow and then just buy a bolt that is slightly longer and then just chuck that in, because it still works, it's just the bolt is now 1mm too short. In the meantime I'm going to tighten the 2 lines from the bottom. Now I can fill the reservoir. Even though I still have to do this bolt, that's not going to be an issue. Just going to do it tomorrow or so. Just fill it up. Some new ATF. In case you're wondering why I always do it with some weird bottles, I always buy this in bulk so that it's cheaper, but I generally use high quality oil. It's leaking somewhere. Now I'm pretty much the dumbest human being in this world. I forgot to reinstall the drain plug. And now there's half a liter of ATF on my floor. Great. Reinstall the drain plug, and now we're gonna fill the system for the 3rd time, hopefully without leaks. We're gonna top this up once the engine is running, because then the pump is working out all these tiny air bubbles and we can bleed the system. I've just checked from underneath, everything looks good and there are no leaks left. Even if that is something really small and insignificant, I still wanted to change the 2 O-rings from the old dipstick. And even if this is probably the most unimportant thing you can do on your car, I just like the attention to detail, and that's why I always do it. Now we're gonna continue with this, the downpipe. The old one is completely leaky right at the flex pipe right here, and is spewing exhaust gases everywhere. And yeah, it stinks, it's disgusting, and I just don't want that anymore. Plus, it is obnoxiously loud. Really need to get that fixed. I already checked under the car. The exhaust flange nuts, before the DPF, they are bigger than a size 11 and smaller than a size 12. And I'm really confused as to how I'm supposed to loosen these, because they just don't fit any regular spanners I have. So yeah, we'll have to find something. But first I'm just gonna loosen them right at the turbo, and then we'll go from there. Second one too. So I just started trying to get the downpipe out. The top bowls, I had them out during the engine rebuild, so that went kind of smooth. But the bottom ones, yeah, they're completely mangled. I stripped them because, yeah, exhaust bolts. I don't know how I'm gonna take them out, because I can't flex them open because the whole underside of the car is covered in oil, and that's an easy way to start a fire. Not ideal in your home garage. And furthermore, for the past 2 days I've been down here a lot, and me laying on the floor in 2 to 3 degree weather isn't really optimal. And yeah, I'm sick, even though I'm wearing one jacket, one pulley, another one, and then a t-shirt and 3 pairs of trousers. But yeah, nothing seems to help. The next winter I really need to install one of these fancy diesel heaters. And yeah, I hope then it will be better. But let's continue with the wiper blades. If you are wondering why I only bought the wiper blades and not the whole mechanism or the arm, is cost savings. If you buy both arms new, or the wipers new, you have for around 30 bucks, 40 bucks if you take one of the premium pairs and you have a special length or whatever, maybe even 50, I don't know. I bought these for 3 bucks, so I'm pretty much saving 30 or 40 bucks, which is nice, especially if you're on a little budget. As you can see, the wiper blades are no longer wiper blades, they've just become flat. And the way you remove them is you look for this part where there's no groove. On the other side there is the groove. And this is because they are wiping in one direction and there is friction pulling it to that direction. So you have to make sure that you install it the correct way. That means that you have to put the end with no groove on the lower and middle part of the wiper. You can use pliers as well. And now you have removed the wiper blade itself, and there's those 2 springy metal parts. Then you just line that stuff up on the lower part, and then you have to start sliding the metal thing back into the mechanism, the correct way obviously. Last step is to now get this metal part in this groove right there. Just push it in. This just saved me 20 bucks, and if you do it on a lot of cars, or if you have a lot of cars and the cars are low value, it definitely makes sense to just change the blade itself without actually replacing the whole arm, just because of cost. But yeah, if you've got excess money, do whatever you want. If you've watched this video all the way to the end, thank you so much. And I'm a bit sorry that I didn't do a lot more progress in this episode, because the downpipe and the exhaust bolts decided not to cooperate. But yeah, that's just how it is with cars sometimes. Have to power through, but I'm sure I'll get it sorted in the next episode. But yeah, at least now the engine's not jumping around anymore, and we have got a well-functioning or well-serviced hydraulic power system. But yeah, thanks for watching, see you guys in the next one.